What's up, everybody? It's finally time. We're here with the boy Luca. This is a legend right here. Just being in the room, I'm feeling the aura. But it's exciting to be here, man. And we're gonna be able to ask him some awesome questions about his life and just what's happening with Pudgy. So before we do that, a lot of people here they may not know who you are, which is hard to believe. I know, but they may not know. So who is LucaNetz?
I'm the CEO of Pudgy Penguins, and I'm excited to be doing this interview with my boy Turk.
Hey, thank you so much, bro. So obviously, a lot of people know about what you've done in crypto. You built this empire with Pudgy, and
Yep.
right now it's kind of doing amazing. The coin's going up. Everybody's excited about Abstract. You got some crazy announcements on the line. But what were you doing before this? What happened before Pudgy?
So I made my career monetizing social influence. So I basically built brands and sold products leveraging influencers. I'm one of the first people to do that. And then right before Pudgy, I was the CMO and co-founder of a company called Gel Blaster, which was North America's fastest growing toy company at the time. We basically went from $0 to $100 million in sales in like 14, 15 months. It was really one of the great consumer product stories of the last 10 years. And always been a consumer product, always been a huge lover of crypto and collecting NFTs, and just seemed like the time was right to buy Pudgy, and here we are.
Awesome, man. That's cool. Gel Blaster is actually something that I think all of us have probably seen. The little toy gun where you shoot everybody with the little gel blasters.
A little water
Super fun. It's super fun, honestly. I was at an event last year and they gave out a bunch of gel blasters and everybody's and it's just honestly a fun time. So you orchestrated that. You're the reason why everybody's shooting each other with blasters.
I was the reason why everyone was shooting each other with blasters.
That is a fun story to tell. That is awesome. So you basically built this empire, and when you saw Pudgy, how did you see Pudgy? How did you become aware of the brand?
So I was in a group chat called NFT Degenerates. It was like a pretty affluent group chat with a bunch of big NFT whales. I've always been a big collector of things, and I started to really understand the NFT stuff really right off the bat. I was, kind of watching the chat, and then I saw on the timeline just some of these crypto native guys just posting about Pudgy Penguins. And being like in Gel Blaster is very much a toy business. Toy business is very much like an IP business. You go to all the IP conferences, etc. And so I had like a really deep understanding around like net new IP. And so when I saw the Pudgy Penguin, and then I just like was like Pudgy Penguins, and I just saw the character, I was like, this is the one. And I texted the chat. It was the only call I signaled in that chat was the Pudgy Penguin. And it was at like 0.1 ETH. Right when they came out, and I was like, this is the one. Trust me. Everyone started buying them in the group chat. And then I ended up being one of the bigger holders. And then a week later, the New York Times picks it up. GCR buys like 500 penguins. Three Arrows Capital sweeps a ton. And it really, at the time, like as far as I understood, like NFT PFPs, like when I came in, there was three leaders post that moment. It was punks, apes, and penguins.
Right.
And unfortunately, penguins just didn't follow the same trajectory as punks and apes. But I still felt like it had all the ingredients. Like it just naturally to me was the one that was going to yield the most demand. Because like PFPs then were digital identities. And the penguin, unlike the ape and the punk, in my opinion, was a much more universal identity. And because these things are fixed in supply, the more people that have the opportunity to identify with such a digital identity, the more demand they will have. And because they're finite in supply, like demand, more demand than there is supply is how the price goes up a lot. I just knew, I was like, dude, nothing is more universal and more, that has the potential to yield the most demand like the penguin, because 15 years old, you like the penguin. You're a girl, you like the penguin.
Who doesn't like a penguin?
Exactly, it's the penguin. And that was it. Some people started trying to bid the penguin. So Beanie offered, I think, 150 ETH or 250 ETH. A couple other big players were trying to buy the project. And then I just said, look, dude, I'm going to step up, and I think I'm the best position for this. Like, at the end of the day, these are next generation brands. That's how they were being sold to the public. And at the end of the day, I thought we knew how to build brands better than anybody else. And I was still kind of looking at like what everyone was doing. And I was like kind of shocked by how lame I thought a lot of what they were doing was. And I was like, well, I can do everything that they're doing, and I can do it better. Then we bought the project for $2.5 million at the time, and still convincing people like Orangey to buy some penguins.
Yeah, shout out to Orangey, by the way. We love the guy.
Shout out to that guy.
So you noticed an opportunity because you were so locked into the space. You were seeing how people were using NFTs to identify themselves. You were seeing the culture that was starting to build around in this Web3 crypto environment. And you noticed that nobody had really done anything impressive. And you were like, well, you know what? I know I can fucking do that. Yeah. And you jumped in and you killed it. That's awesome. So for anybody out there that thinks that they could do something better and they're wondering why no one's done something yet in whatever niche you're in, wherever you're at, have some confidence. Fucking go for it. You can believe in yourself because this guy did, and he's been building upon his successes ever since, and even from before then. So that's just kind of like some motivation for people out there who you might be involved in something and you're like, why are people not doing this way? Go do it that way.
Right.
Lock in. That's awesome. That's awesome. So ever since then, you've been on this Pudgy thing. This is like your main kind of vehicle where you spend all your time investing in.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how the last couple of years of your life's been since you've made the pivot to Pudgy. What have you been spending your time doing? Are you always having meetings? Are you traveling a lot? How's that look?
Dude, it's the man that I was before this versus the man I am post this. It's a whole different man, dude. I went from, I thought I was an entrepreneur back then, but like looking back at it, I was an internet hustler. I really morphed into a real entrepreneur. I slaved, dude. I did everything that I thought you'd do right. I sat in the freezing cold, shaking people's hands, fucking throwing up afterwards because I got myself so sick. I've been to every conference. I've done every interview. I hustled every space. I literally didn't take a single dollar from the community. I did everything physically, mentally, and humanly possible to make this thing win that a freaking individual could possibly do. I literally put myself in the shoes of every holder, every potential speculator, every whale, and I thought about like, what do they want to see? They wanted to see a real business? Great, I'm going to show you a real business. You wanted to see, mass market content proliferation and distribution? Great, I'm going to show you mass market content proliferation and distribution. You wanted respect? I'm going to show you respect in the freezing cold, shaking everybody's hands as they come into my event. You wanted transparency? I'm going to give you an inner igloo every 2 weeks. You wanted generosity? I'm not going to mint and take from you guys. I'm just going to give to you guys. You wanted, headlines and blockbuster partnerships? I put this thing in Walmart and Target and Dave & Buster's and Chuck E. Cheese and Knott's Berry Farm and, Six Flags and all these amazing places. You wanted, a community that felt inclusive and accessible, but also exclusive. We did that. You wanted to go to, not just be an American project, but a global project. We probably have a bigger community now in parts of Asia than we do in most of the US. I just did everything physically possible. Every meeting, man, I talked to every single whale. There's not a single whale in crypto, dude, that I haven't tried to sell on Pudgy Penguins before. The Azuki whales, I tried to get them all in. Most of them never got in. The Bored Ape whales, I tried to get them all in. Most of them didn't get in. The CryptoPunk whales, I tried to get them all in. Most of them didn't get in. The token, all the liquid funds, I pitched every liquid fund humanly possible. Just doing everything that I physically can to make sure that this wins, for the sake of the entire community and everybody who's aligned here. But like, there physically isn't something that one person, that any group could do, I think, more than what we're doing. And the goal is to continue the cadence and the pace. I'm pretty tired, but I think it's just the nature of the last 2 weeks because we haven't been sleeping much. But I just want to win, man. I just want everyone who believed and backed us to look back at this and be like, dude, there was no better bet to make than on these guys. And so far, I think the data will say that's true, but we got a long ways to go. And this is a 15, 20-year vision for us, so we got to see.
So you mentioned in that people were asking for things and you kept delivering on that. So how important is that feedback process? Because you're known as one of the people who's more in tune with his community. That there's a lot of companies out there that have millions and millions of dollars, but they are so out of touch with who's buying their products. The community's built around that, and you're not that. You're the epitome of what people should look up to in that type of environment where you're in every day. You're talking to everybody that you can talk to. That feedback must have been important to helping you get to where you are today. Like, how important has that been, being able to talk to all these people?
It's been everything, because if you're not talking to them, you're not giving them what they want. And so because I talk to them, I know what they want. And so when I give it to them, right, if you're not in the community, like little fucking losers will be like, oh, I remember when we dropped in Walmart, oh, plushies, who wants the plushie brand? You know what I mean? No. Me and the community have been talking for a year that we needed, one, to make real money, so I didn't have to take money from them. Two, we needed to proliferate the IP. Physical products was obvious. It was a low-hanging fruit where nobody was going. And four, just generated the head. Like they knew the whole playbook, you know? So if you're the outside looking in, you're over here just telling yourself your own left curve silly story when we're just masterminding as a group, right? Like I tell the community this all the time, but like I'm just the muscle to the brain that is us. You know, it's a big giant brain, and if you hold a little Pudgy or a big Pudgy or a Pangu, like you are a cell in that network, you know. And my job is it really is like acts as like the spinal cord and the muscle, right? Like which is like filter, because you just can't take all the feedback. Half the feedback stinks. 25% of the feedback's okay, but not worth the time and the energy. 25% of the feedback is meaningful, actionable feedback that you got to implement on. And then I just send that to the rest of the muscle, which is the org, and I'm that filter. I'm the spinal cord. The org is the muscle, right? And then they're the brain. So I'm just right in between that brain and that muscle.
Yeah, I've noticed in the community, in the Pudgy community specifically, these guys are brand loyals. I made that Pudgy post. I had about 35 DMs. I can't believe you're in Pudgy in the abstract ecosystem. Welcome. If you need anything, I'm here for you. Like any questions, any confusion. Like you can't fake that kind of community. And there's a lot of people that try to act like they have that, but in reality, I mean, you can just see, you know, in the social media like how people are moving. So Pudgy's done something that I think has got way more upwards motion. You got so much more planned. I don't think anybody has any idea what the future is, but I'm super excited for it. But let's go back to what's going on nowadays. So you did the Pudgy airdrop when you released the token. I was actually there at that event with Orangey, and there was a bunch of other KOLs. So it was awesome to see that happen. Super cool. I was playing video games and, you know, having some drinks. And you did one of the biggest airdrops, if not the biggest airdrop I've ever seen in crypto. Definitely the biggest in meme coins.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. How was that whole process? Like, were you stressing out when you were doing that? Like, was everybody running around all over the place? Like, how was that?
So Trump got elected on the 7th November. My dog died that night. I mourned the following day. And on the 9th of November, I walk into this office, which you're here now, and I said, we're doing Pangu. And that was November 9th. And on December 15th, we launched Pangu the way that we did. Now remember, the animations, the views we got. Like I remember, you know, I was watching the Pump.fun announcement about, like, I was actually interested about not just like the video, the creative, but I was like, how many views do you have? Like 4 million views? Dude, we got 10 posts with 10 million views and that rolled out. You guys remember that? That was back to back to back to back bangers. Like, and 52% of the token was distributed. 6 million eligible wallets. It was the greatest liquidity injection to the Solana trenches up until this point. The trenches have never gotten more free money. Everyone got $500 or more, right? Like everyone was, you know, multiple wallets.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was indexing on. And a lot of people were hating on us when it was down only. They were like, I had a lot of like big holders. I was like, what are you guys doing? They were like, wow, you shouldn't be giving so much. Dude, let's remember, that token for the first 4 weeks was going up. When's the last time you saw an airdrop that was even close to that magnitude? It was $1.5 billion in cash at the price, right? At the median price for those first 4 weeks. 6 million eligible wallets, 750 million to the Pudgy community and some ETH people. And then 650 million to 750 million to the Solana community. It was actually like 550 million to Solana, 200 million to just ETH community. The animations, the exchange listings, the cross-chain claim and the load, all of that done in 5 weeks. I mean, how everyone just, like, we never got the credit we deserved for how impressive that sprint was. And I bring that up because it just speaks to the level of team that most people watching are betting on. Like, we are best in class. And it was just a ginormous airdrop, and it went up. And then when it went down, right after meme coin Black Swan, right? Let's just remember Trump, Melania, Libra,
Yeah.
literal meme nuclear bomb,
Liquidation.
nightmares,
dude.
literal black hole of liquidity, legitimate center of the universe, Milky Way black hole esque, right? We still survived that until Trump tariff bullshit, and then SPY was down 25%. And so subsequently, we went from a $4 billion market cap to a $350 million market cap, 90% drawdown. Our core community was a little like, I tell people, they're like, why did you do that airdrop? Like the core community asked me, they're like, you gave 25% to Pudgy holders. Why did you give the other 25% to everyone else? And there's two very easy answers to this. One, because if you don't give the airdrop to everyone else, nobody wants to bid a token that's 25% held by Pudgy penguins and just Pudgy holders dumping on your head. There's no bid in that. That's weak, right? And if we didn't do that, I promise you it would have been down only day one. But everyone got a bag of Pudgy and Pangu. So everyone was hyping it up. Everyone wanted to see it win. And so it was actually helping the holder base, the core holder base, in a big way. The second one is more important, which is Pudgy Penguin's story is a beautiful one. It's very much a phoenix that rose from the ashes, the golden boy, who then fell and crashed, who then got picked up and CTO'd by a community member, me, then brought it back and went against all odds and really just became, I think, in my opinion, the people's brand, the face of the people of crypto. And how can you be the people's brand and the people's coin, right? And really tell that story and not give everyone a piece of it, right? Because to me, Pudgy penguins and Pangu specifically is the internet's Mickey Mouse, right? And so if I want to be the internet's Mickey Mouse and if I want to be the face of crypto and the mascot of crypto, and I think the internet's Mickey Mouse and the mascot of crypto has the potential to flip Doge, you have to embody actually what that means. You can't just fake the funk. You can't just say, yeah, we're the people's coin. Like some dudes now are picking up the tagline and memes. I'm like, no, bro, you're not the people's coin. We're the people's coin. We airdropped $1.5 billion to the people. You didn't do that. So you're not the people's coin, right? We are, And that was important because I think Pangu being the people's coin will flip Doge. But if it was just the Pudgy penguin holders coin, right? And it was just them dumping on everyone, it would have never been the people's coin. And Pangu, the mimetic character, is it priced high? Sure. Pangu, the people's coin, for the people, by the people, that beats Doge. And nobody can say it's not the people's coin. It's impossible to refute because there hasn't been a singular entity that has been more generous than us over this cycle and for the cycles to come. And Pangu is at the epicenter of all that.
I agree.
Flip that and distribute that.
I agree, man, and it's really awesome to see. And I like how you said that you stood on business and you did the airdrop to everybody, which a lot of people, let's bring this up now since we're moving to current events, a lot of people are staring at Elon. They're walking at every tweet. They're asking this guy, why are you making cryptic tweets? Why do you think you're the Riddler?
Yeah.
What's happening? Because Pudgy was very, very clairvoyant on how they were going to do everything from the beginning. That people weren't left there, like wondering what the heck's going to go on. You guys communicated really clearly. That is not the case with the pump drop.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just confused. And I know you had that clip that's kind of going viral with Razzle the other day about how you'd be looking at him weird. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about how you think that would be something to look at him weird for if he doesn't give us a big airdrop.
My advice to Elon is simple. He needs to understand his product is not the moat. You're seeing that now with Pump.fun. Pump.fun, the product, there's no moat. Pump.fun's moat is the brand and the community, right? That's his moat, dude. And his moat will be tested based on that airdrop. And I think he's thinking way too short term on that token. And I can tell you now, somebody's went down 90% and back up 1,000%. He needs to set an example that he's for the people, that he's actually for the trenches, that he's not a general sitting behind the trench line looking like a dictator. He needs to be fucking in the trench, knee deep, in the mud with his people, and he needs to fucking drop a care package on their fucking head. Because they're hurting. And the Pump.fun loyalists, the trenchers, are being punished for their loyalty. and he needs to be the general that the trenches need, and he needs to understand that his moat is them. And he's now in an inflection point where he's being tested as a leader. Is he a leader that is for the trenches and for his people? Or is he a leader that sends his people out to die and then goes back to headquarters once he's lost the war and fucking makes an excuse as to why he lost? Right?
I agree.
And my thing is let's run this scenario. If he doesn't airdrop the trenches and it's not a fair and meaningful airdrop, he's cooked. It's over.
He's cooked. I mean,
the whole thing is over.
It's
they
fun.
made $2 billion. They're young enough. You can never, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. I'm not a user of Pump.fun, so entrepreneur to entrepreneur, I haven't made as much money as them. So, hey, bro, respect to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you fucking made a couple $1 billion. Those co-founders, everyone on that cap table can eat. Nobody lost any money. Everyone won there. But that's thinking too short-sighted, because if you make $2 billion, you can make 20. And what I would do then, the other path is you give them an airdrop. The token nukes, right? Fuck the token in the short term. The token nukes. The trenches love it, right? They feel taken care of. They don't feel spited by their general. And then he go and alludes to a season 2 airdrop for the next year of usage of the platform. Bonk can't do that. None of the other launch pads can do that. Everyone who's trading on all the other launch pads will go right back to Pump. They will see that Alan is a generous founder and a generous leader, and that he takes care of his troops, and he's a generous general a lot. How funny is that? I like that. If he wins, that should be his nickname. If he does the airdrop, that should be his nickname, Generous General Alon. But and then so what will happen is the trenches will love him. Season 2, he will then black hole all of the volume from all the other launchers, which is amazing for him because he's back to making a couple million a day, which is not, he's making $1 million, $1.5 million. He'll go back to making $3 or $4 million a day. Boom, the revenue's churning again. The token will nuke. So token will go from, 3.5, 4 billion FDV to 2, right? Because everyone's underwater. And if they see the airdrop generous, everyone will close the longs. It'll be a 50%, 60% haircut. Yeah. But then he'll be back to making $4 million a day. And then he's already got $2 billion in the bank. And so everyone's like, oh, when he's buying now, everyone got so excited. I was like, bro, you guys don't understand. Him putting $30 million into a $5 billion coin doesn't do shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? It does shit for like you saw.
The coin went down.
Does shit for 12 hours, right? It does things for 12 hours and then it's useless. And then when the token's at 2 billion, his revenue's now hitting highs again. Everyone loves him. He's the people's champ. And then he can go and actually take 100 million, right? Which he'll basically make that month, right? Because he'll have all the volume back. And then he can go buy 5, 10, 15, 20% of the supply. Exactly. Control the flow. Get all the fucking liquid funds out. Who cares? Smoke them. Smoke all the fucking longs. Who cares? Whatever. And then he can just control the thing, and then goes back to 10 billion. That's the path to 10 billion. But I swear, I promise you, if he doesn't do that, he doesn't come correct, he has to be the biggest Solana airdrop of all time. He has to be. He has to be. He has to come correct. He has to bless the trenches. And if he does it the way that I explained it, he'll go to 10 billion. If he does it any other way, meaning if he cuts his users short, if he's greedy General Alon instead of generous General Alon, the whole business is smoked because you're already seeing it. Bonk is taking insane market share.
Yeah.
How are you sitting there watching that happen?
Tom is not playing.
The plan that I just gave them the blueprint. I hope somebody's telling them this. I don't know how you would refute that. I just gave him the blueprint on how he beats him, because if he's generous to the trenches, he can literally allude to a season 2. Doesn't even give a full airdrop. He can give 10, 15. He can give 10% of supply right now. Right? That's enough. 10% of supply with another 10% to come in a year and a half. Everyone will be stoked. It's like the Hyperliquid thing. Everyone's using Hyperliquid for the same reason. So, I think that's the way for him to do it. And regardless, he's a beast entrepreneur. He should be proud of what he's accomplished. I mean, who am I to, but this is no longer a product revenue, what he's used to. Now he's in the people business, and this is a people's decision. Yeah. This is a community decision, right? So I think I'm one of the best to speak on this, if not the best person to speak on this. and this is my advice for him. And I've been through the 90% drawdown, but look at it. My plan worked.
I'm here right now. You're probably at peak. Like this, Pudgy's at the peak right now. They're doing incredible. I say the peak because for now, but the peak is way higher than we are now. And now that we're talking about leaders, there's obviously Elon, but there's also Pasternak with Launchpoint, and there was Support Tom. Now, Tom is interesting because I see him joining streams like Deuces and Cupsy, joining group chats, asking people, trying to trench himself. He's very, very active. He's kind of giving me the same vibes that you gave about Pudgy, about he's always trying to talk to everybody and see what he can do. Now, he's super far behind Elon and everything, but I think because of that effort that he's been putting, that's why Bonk managed to take so much away from Pump.fun. And I'm very worried, obviously, if Pump doesn't do what you said and have a proper airdrop, that they're just going to go to Bonk and not look back, and it'll happen overnight. So if you had to make a prediction market bet right now, and you're putting $1 million on it, that Elon is or isn't going to do the airdrop properly, what would you bet?
They have too much on the line, and it's too obvious that I'm right, that I would, and I have to give them credit for their success up to this point. They would be real. If they didn't do what I said, I think I would look at them through the lens of luck. I'd be like, because they have a airdrop. This is literally like strategy 101. And I want to speak on this because I'm basically giving them a playbook to screw Bonk a little bit. But I don't even think I'm giving it because I think it's so obvious. So I don't even think that this is proprietary alpha that like is going to change. Like if Alan and Noah listen to this, I don't think their mind's going to be so blown that they have to have run this line of thought. They have the opportunity to completely vampire attack Bonk.fun, which is clearly winning. This is your opportunity to blur OpenSea, except you were OpenSea and now they're blur, but you're still OpenSea because you're like blur because now you have the token. You still have the token to get. So you can vampire attack them even though you were the first mover and they don't have tokens to give.
Right.
Like they're out of tokens. You know what I mean? Like they have a couple, I think, left to unlock. But I will say to your point, I want to give credit where credit is due. Nam, Soulport Tom, I have an interface with Soulport Tom. Nam is best in class. He's the only meme builder that I ever think about. I don't think about any of them. All the other memes, I'm like, there's no competing with this, in my opinion. I say that respectfully because I think those communities are amazing. I think a lot of those teams are amazing, but they haven't shown me why I should lose sleep over them at night, right? Nam is a different beast. Nam is a real entrepreneur. And that group and their business model and the people and talent that they're recruiting is best in class. It's the only, now, I think Pudgy's in a little bit of a different bucket. I think the IP is unbeatable, etc. But when I just look at pure entrepreneurship chops, I look at Nam and I think it's the only guy I look to that I'm like, you make me think at night, you know? So that crew, that cohort, that Bonk group, which is even more important that Alan is listening to this, because you cannot not think they're not a threat. They are your biggest threat you've ever had by far, right? And they've got the right people behind them. They've got Radium King making, like they got the right people. So don't fade that team. You cannot. They're not a flash in the pan.
Right.
Not a flash in the pan.
So, for people that are being builders, what do they have to aspire to try to emulate what you're seeing in that is so inspiring and you think is such a threat to all these other builders? How can someone who, let's say Tom or Pastor, like how can they get to that level? Is it really just about I need to dedicate 8 hours a day to being involved in my community at the highest level, or is there more to it that of a strategy that they're just not following?
I think it's just instinctual. It's like Nam was built for this. I was built for this. Some guys are just built for it, dude, and just get it. And some of these other guys, like, you know, some of the founders that are not seeing success, like, they're just not getting it. Like, I see some of these guys and they're on vacation and like chilling and shit. I'm like, what? You know, like get in the trench.
Time, right? Like it's crunch time. It's a limited time opportunity market. We don't have a lot of time.
Who's on vacation right now? You must be a madman.
Yeah.
Vacation right now in this market. So I don't understand some of it sometimes. And, you know, I don't know the behind the scenes. So maybe something happened in their family and they needed a break. And like, so like take everything with a grain of salt. But like, it's a different, you know, I've had bro. I'm the biggest animal lover you'll ever meet. My first dog ever was going through brain surgery, and I was in the trench in Asia because I had to be, because I didn't want to cancel Asia because it's disrespectful in that culture to cancel. And my baby girl, bro, is dying on her deathbed, and I picked my community over that. You know how big that, like, this shit's on the line, bro.
You understand, like, it's,
right?
You just either understand or you don't understand, like, the meaning of every single action is a domino effect. Like, it's not even just about what that does; it's about all the different domino effects that happen from that singular, action that you take every day, even the small things. So we talked about the past of Pudgy, and we talked about the present. Let's end the interview with the future of Pudgy.
Yeah.
So what is next for you guys? What's going on in the next 6 to 12 months? I know you can't leak too much, but, like, what can you say to let all the Pudgy holders get a little pudgy, if you know what I mean?
I'm not going to leak too much, but it's franchise time, and the best of us is yet to be seen. I mean, you guys, you're starting to see, like, every year we get better, and this little sprint we just went on these last 30, 40 days, just a testament, bro. We're just getting better. We're just in a pocket. We're in a generational pocket, and we understand the opportunity, and we're not going to fumble it. Like, we're going to put it all on the line here. And you speak in the next 6 to 12 months, like, this is the bull market, right? Like, I don't think it's going to last more than 12 months. So I really have to put it all on the line. Like, this is where I have to surprise and delight better than I ever have in the past. So this is where we're going to put it. You're going to see it. We're either going to make Orangey a billionaire or we're not.
Did you say we're just getting started?
We're just getting started, baby.
We're just getting started. We're just getting started, man.
Amen.
And if you want to, what about Abstract? Tell them about Abstract. Drop a little Abstract nugget to these guys if they don't know.
Man, I think people are really underestimating what we're building over there. I think it's a top 6 blockchain a day in crypto. And I think we're going to, the same opportunity we saw in NFTs, right, is the same opportunity we see in blockchains. And I expect Abstract to play and take the exact same path that Pudgy Penguins did, which is when we came into Pudgy Penguins, nobody believed in us. We had a vision. We won. We became the top performing NFT, of the last couple of years. I think the same thing is going to apply to Abstract. We, acquired Frame. We've been building it for the last 10 months. Some people are counting us in. Some people are counting us out. And we're just going to win and be the number 1 blockchain the same way we were the NFT.
I'm rooting for you. He put me on to Abstract a little bit ago. I bought like $800 for the Pangu. It's worth like 4 bands now, so I probably should have full ported. That's on me. That's on me, bro. You tried to give me alpha. But I appreciate it, and thank you so much for your time. You're a legend. I'm grateful to be here. Since the beginning, Pudgy's always moved transparently in a way that I try to move. I try to be as transparent as possible. You guys know that. And just seeing people that are operating, morally, ethically, and long-term, that's where I want to be. That's why I'm in this room. And again, bro, thank you so much for the time.
Sure.